This is Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall, announced as Salvator Mundi by Pope Benedict XVI during March of 2013, and he is the King of Judah. Queen Elizabeth II sits upon the throne of England, which is the throne of David, the Christ, who has made his presence known to her through a notice of claim and a declaration, seen at the end of this PowerPoint, is the King of Judah. Now, when Queen Elizabeth was a child, her father George VI told her, should the Christ make his presence known to her during her reign, she is to hand over the throne. She was in Sydney when I was a boy. I remember seeing her. I was 10.06 years old. That number in the Greek concordance is from John 21:15, and it is the word feed, quoting, "So when they had dined, Jesus saith to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonah, lovest thou me more than these? He saith unto him, Yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. He saith unto him, Feed my lambs." Now there has been a report that Queen Elizabeth will visit the Antichrist, Pope Francis. It will be interesting when she finds out not only has he confined Pope Benedict XVI to the Vatican, murdered his priest, Father Giuseppe Civello, and likely Monsignor Giovanni Rossini, and kidnapped his friend of 20 years, Sister Maria della Rosa. Add to this the fact he was the man brokering a deal of $200 million for Argentina to purchase the French Exocet missiles used in the Falklands War with Argentina, killing hundreds of British soldiers and sailors. Queen Elizabeth's grandson came close to death many times during the Falklands War. That was Prince Andrew. He bravely flew a helicopter for the Navy. His task was to act as a decoy. The missiles brokered by Francis, the French Exocet, dubbed the Flying Fish, launched from a ship, helicopter, plane, or off the Falkland Islands land bases. The missile was guided in mid-flight towards its target, a British ship. Then the Argentine Navy made a fatal mistake, switching it to its own onboard radar. The British are invincible, far too intelligent for the Argentinian Navy. They knew every detail of the French Exocet. Prince Andrew flying a Navy helicopter, his orders were to sit between the incoming missile and the ship to act as a decoy. The Argentinian missile's radar would fix on the helicopter. Then, when the ship's radar gave him the signal, Prince Andrew would gain altitude and the missile would change direction, gain altitude to climb after the helicopter. The missile was not designed to suddenly change altitude, therefore limited passing under the helicopter and over the Navy ship, saving many lives. Had the Argentinian Navy realized, they could have turned off the radar and would have sunk every ship they targeted. The helicopter was far enough away from the ship that the radar signature of the helicopter appeared larger on the Exocet radar, mistaking it for the ship. So there is no love lost between Queen Elizabeth and Francis. She'll be well versed in the Jesuit oath to slit open the stomach of a pregnant woman, rip out the baby and smash its head against a wall. If there is any doubt what I say, Google the Jesuit oath. As for the Church of Demons, it has been taken over by Freemasonry, as has the world reigned over by Queen Elizabeth, who will be aware that Pope Benedict XVI has recognized myself as Salvator Mundi, Christ, and she is acquiescent to me as of 21 days after her receiving the declaration and notice of claim on June the 14th, 2010, making it the date July the 5th, 2010. She is a friend of Pope Benedict XVI. The ploy of Francis promoting the idea he and Benedict are friends, yet the reality is I told Pope Benedict XVI he is still Pope, as a Pope cannot retire, and as he regards me as Christ, God in the flesh, I told him to wait it out. The Queen can win this war against the demons with one simple sentence. I would like to visit my friend Pope Benedict the 16th. What would Francis say? No to the Queen? Once she is with Benedict the 16th, another sentence. Did you write the apostolic letter and upload it to the internet concerning Mr. Marshall, Salvator Mundi? The British have never lost a war. The American War of Independence, some may say, but it was a complete victory for England. Bill Cooper pointed out in a video called Regions of Saturn. General Cornwallis met with General Washington and made it clear that he was allowed to win, for the long-term plan was to allow America to develop under the Freemason Lucifer Bible. And in 200 years, the American colony would seem to be the bastion of freedom, dominated by the Bible, owned by the king. Will Elizabeth be the first monarch to lose a war and do so to Argentina? The three have one thing in common. Queen Elizabeth knows my name. Pope Benedict knows my name. Francis, the Antichrist, knows my name. This video will be viewed by the Queen's advisors and Francis' advisors. Pope Benedict XVI will not be able to view it as he is under close scrutiny and a house arrest. Has the Queen been visited by an angel, the same that appeared to Yitzhak Kaduri and Ariel Sharon, and also had been awakened from the dead? Will the British monarch bow to a Jesuit Argentinian? If anyone watching this video, would you, if you were the Queen? If the Pope had been English, no problem. So the ball has been placed back in the English court. If she speaks to Francis, will she checkmate the moron and insist on speaking to her friend Benedict XVI? He is a German. The Queen's great-grandfather, George I, was a German. The family name was Battenberg, changed to Mountbatten. Prince Charles' favourite uncle was Lord Louis Mountbatten. He was murdered when his boat was blown up by the IRA on the 27th of August 1979. George I of Great Britain, born in Germany, Georg Ludwig, on the 28th of May 1660, died on the 11th of June 1727. He was King of Great Britain from the 1st of August 1714 until his death. From his death to the rebirth of Queen Elizabeth is a period of 201.85 years. The number 2018 means to overthrow Sodom in the Hebrew Concordance. Genesis 19:29. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in the which Lot dwelt. Hebrew Dictionary 2018. Feminine of 2016, destruction, overthrow. Greek 2018 from 1909, to bear upon or further, that is, adduce, or judicially accuse, inflict, superinduce, add, bring against, take. Greek 201 from 202, an audience room, place of hearing. When I first was able to use the internet, the Burke's Peerage was available online and still available in libraries. William I, the Lion of Scotland, had married Emergard, she the mother of Alexander II, who became king. His only son followed Alexander III and died without an heir. Then the royals were summoned to compete for the throne of Scotland, called the 13 competitors. Among them, Patrick Golightly, the grandson of Henry Golightly, the son of William I the Lion, and Isabel de Avenel, the second wife of William after Ermengarde died. So the few references to King William's 6 children by her mention William's 2 daughters, the eldest, Margaret, married Marshals, and Margotta's daughter married a Marshal. From Margaret, the Earls of Pembroke descend. William Marshal was named after the grandfather, King William. His offspring descended down to the 5th Earl of Pembroke. He owned the coal ship which was refitted and renamed the Endeavour on April the 5th, 1768, which Cook sailed to Tahiti, Antarctic, and then headed north to New Zealand. April the 5th, of course, is the anniversary of the resurrection in 33 AD. His astronomer, Mr. Green, had with him a Harrison longitude clock and measured New Zealand, proving it lay between 2 latitudes 888 miles apart. 888, of course, is the Greek gematria for Jesus. Those who win the war rewrite history and are determined to eliminate my royal bloodline from history as if it makes any difference to God in the flesh, myself. Today, the Jewish censorship has removed any mention of King William's second wife, and although he had 6 children with her, these became bastards historically, and later, when I checked again, no trace of Isabel de Avenel can be found. Yet in 1997, the various genealogy search engines freely had her complete genealogical tree listed, her place and date of birth, her parents and connection back to the kings of Jerusalem. Searching my name locates what I wrote at that time, copied from the records. I mention this here for Queen Elizabeth being of German ancestry. I do not have a problem with that. As you all know, Hitler was one of the greatest men who has ever lived. I am saying I am the true royal of England, Scotland and Ireland, as well as the Habsburg of Europe and Jerusalem. The great-grandparents of King William I, the Lion King of Scotland, was Margaret, Queen of England, and married to Malcolm III, King of Scotland. She died on 16th of November in 1093. I was born in the Catholic St. Margaret Women's Maternity Hospital in Sydney, where the distance to the South Pole measures 3,877 miles. There are 3,877 verses with the word God, and in these 3,877 verses, the word God is found on 4,443 occasions. As Yitzhak Kaduri said, the people will wonder and say, "What? That's the Messiah?" Many have known his name, but have not believed that he is the Messiah. Later, a letter he had written was to be opened 1 year after his death. In it, he said the Jewish Messiah was Jesus. His son and grandson, said the old rabbi, spoke of nothing else. Will Queen Elizabeth destroy the sodomized Church of Rome and the Antichrist Francis by simply asking to speak to Benedict XVI and arm in arm stroll through the gardens and inquire of me and his apostolic letter? Will she be so disgusted with the Vatican and announce what Benedict's response will be and save the Church from destruction by the Jesuit world order? Here is the declaration and notice of claim. Brian Leonard Golightly, Marshal. He is the King of Judah. You can scroll through, stop each page to read in this video. This has been uploaded on a number of occasions. Here it is again for the purpose of this teaching to the world. The Christ is the comforter at this time. He is the Father and the comforter. That's why, as Jesus said, don't go looking for me, and don't go after anybody coming in my name. He is the Christ, the comforter, and he has the new name of the revelation. That is the name written that only he would know. Revelation 19:12. 1912 is the rebirth year of his mother, Daphne Golightly. She was born on October, the 10th month, the 11th day, in the year 1912. So Revelation 19 verses 10, 11, 12, and then 13 are all about the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, with the name written that only he would know. So if only he knows it, he has to reveal it to a devoured world consumed by the beast. This now is the apostolic letter called in Christum Credent. It has cost the life of certainly one, possibly three witnesses of the second coming that was unfolding throughout the papal office of Pope Benedict during March 2013. Father Giuseppe Cervello was reported as being shot 8 times by his murderer hired by Francis. That was April the 13th, 2013. His friend, Monsignor Giovanni Rossini, who uploaded the apostolic letter from his location in Toronto, Canada, because Father Giuseppe found that he was stopped in Rome from uploading it to the internet. He disappeared the same night as Father Giuseppe, which is the early hours, just after 1:30 in the morning of April the 3rd, which is the anniversary of the crucifixion in 33 AD. April the 3rd, Rome time, after 1:30 a.m. Sister Maria Della Rosa, the housekeeper, who also said that she was the biographer for the conversation between Pope Benedict and the Christ. She also was taken away that night. We did receive a letter from her. She escaped, well, didn't escape, she remained for a couple of months. She'd been taken to a monastery in Malta. Nobody spoke her language. After a couple of months, she wrote and told the Mother Superior she was leaving the Catholic Church. She wrote in her letter that she could not be in the church any longer. The fake church, she called it, under Francis. And she told us what happened on the night of the arrest from her perspective. She was actually downstairs at the time. She identified that Archbishop George Ganswain was the traitor who allowed the 5 men dressed in suits, ran up the stairs to the papal office and knocked down Pope Benedict, left him on the floor with a bleeding ear as they handcuffed and took away Father Giuseppe Cervello, who was later murdered. Stop this video and read each page very carefully. You can hear the heart of Benedict as you read his words, his astonishment at the treatment of the Christ. As Jesus, he prophesied that he would be rejected, and that is what has definitely happened throughout his 70 years on this earth. He is the judge this time. Nobody likes the judge. And his judgment is harsh. It's the Jews who call themselves Jews and are not. They're Freemason front infiltrating at every level, including the Roman Catholic Church. Francis has been quoted as saying, "I believe in God, not a Catholic God." Well, that's where he's wrong. God was reborn into a Catholic family for the very reason to rescue the 1.2 billion souls from the Antichrist. He is a Catholic God because he's been reborn into a Catholic family. Benedict and Elizabeth, during the communications with the Christ, we mentioned Elizabeth, and Benedict asked how she was. He was concerned. He had heard reports of her at that time having a stomach flu. This is the warning that is for this day now in his second coming as Jesus. Everything was prophetic foretelling of this day now. In that day is this day now in his second incarnation. The only way onto the earth is through a mother's womb. Quoting from Matthew 18:1. At that time came the disciples unto Jesus, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus called a little child unto him, and set him in the midst of them, and said, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted, and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe unto the world because of offences, for it must needs be that offences come. But woe to that man by whom the offence cometh. Wherefore, if thy hand or thy foot offend thee, cut them off, and cast them from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life halt or maimed, rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be cast into everlasting fire. As Jesus, he spoke all things in parables. That last verse does not mean that you go out and cut off a hand or a foot or pluck your eye out. It means that you watch your life, that no offence come through you, especially unto the children. He is here for the children, and he has warned the adults over and over, unless they become like a small child, they will not see nor enter into the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven comes upon the earth. We have already crossed over. It was December 11th, 2011, when our solar system crossed over to the north side of the center line of the Milky Way galaxy where the creation took place. So we are already in the heavenly realm, and this is the judgment that has been occurring. There are hundreds of millions of angels. Oh, yes, there's 100 million angels who are about to do the reaping, casting off the earth, out of the kingdom, anything that offends the Holy Ghost, who is Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall Salvatore Mundi, the Messiah, King of Judah. Anything that offends him is out of here through death, never to return. All chances for the reincarnation of the soul are over. That is what the end of times is. As Jesus, the conversation he had with Nicodemus was all about the reincarnation of the soul. That is what born again means. However, in the book everybody is reading, it has been cut short, and so the masses The Christian masses have been deluded, and they do not believe in the reincarnation of the soul. So they have been looking for a phantom, floaty ghost to front up on a giant white horsey riding the clouds. No, all things were spoken in parables. It is all to do with the constellations of the stars, times and seasons. The altar to the Lord in the midst of Egypt is the Great Pyramid at Giza. That is his altar. It is all about the measure of a man, and that man who is the King of Judah, the King of Kings, is Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall. This is the Christ child. Unless you humble yourselves to become like a small child, you will not enter nor see the kingdom of heaven, which comes upon the earth, because the King of Kings is in residence in his temple, the earth.